James Skrmetta Show podcast on a Sunday evening. Welcome. How are you doing? We are recording this at 9:47 p.m. on a Sunday. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. If you're listening to this on Monday morning, hey, another week. And what better way to start the week than with this show presented to you by Mac Anderson and Associates PLLC, our presenting sponsor. What a show. Big show here. I was just doing some prep, trying to figure out what we're going to do, laying out the show, all that stuff. And man, every time I go to Google and, start to look up what we're going to talk about, it just gets worse and worse, man. It just gets worse and worse. And this week is no different. On the show today, we eulogize Chadwick Boseman, the untimely passing of the Black Panther actor. The CDC released a bit of a bombshell regarding coronavirus. We will get into that. Bella Thorne's OnlyFans, not that great. A nun speaks at the RNC, and an update on Jacob Blake. So before we get into the actual show, ladies and gentlemen, just want to say thank you to everybody who's been supporting the content. This week was one of the weeks where, I don't usually go back and check analytics or go back and look at the comments or any of that stuff for the show. It just kind of happens organically. We just kind of let it rip, and whatever happens, happens. But this was one of those weeks where the engagement rate was insane. Comments all over the place. I spent a little bit of time yesterday answering comments on YouTube videos and all that stuff. So I just wanted to say thank you for everyone supporting the work. And honestly, it could not be done without y'all. So, I every once in a while, it seems like every week now, I'm thanking the listeners, but really you can't imagine what the kind words and stuff like that does for the show. All I can do is my part, and that is the smallest part. Y'all are doing the hard work. But let's talk about I'll tell you this before the stories, man. This week, so Friday, I got back to my house. I went and run an errand. Walked in my house, and it was 85 degrees inside the house. Not good. Not good at all. Air conditioning had went busted. And I was like, you know what? I'll be all right. We'll be all right. We're going to, it ain't no big deal. I can sleep through this. People used to sleep. It'd be like camping. It's like I'm sleeping in a giant tent with doors and windows. So I tried to exist. Turns out 85 degrees is pretty miserable. I was just sweating, just sitting in my living room. So I ended up having to go to my parents' house, and it was kind of funny. What used to be my old room is like a spare room now. There's nothing in it, and I had a blow-up mattress from when I was in college, and so I unrolled the blow-up mattress. It's kind of like a fun little like a sleepover. Unroll the blow-up mattress, pump that sucker up, got a blanket, laid down. I woke up a couple hours later in the middle of the night, and I was encased in a rubber cocoon. It turns out the blow-up mattress had a hole in it, and I had to sleep on a rubber pallet, basically, on the ground. So rough weekend for your boy as far as sleeping goes and as far as comfort, but we're all good now. Air conditioning's fixed, all that fun stuff. So just a few days of incredible torture. My back may never be the same, and when you buy a blow-up mattress, don't skimp. Don't skimp. So let's get to the first news story of the day. Chadwick Boseman. This was tough. So obviously Chadwick Boseman most recently starred in the Black Panther movie and the Avenger movies, and he passed at 43 years old from, every time I say passed, I always think about my time at the newspaper and just how terrible media is. When I was in the newspaper, we were told not to write passed away in stories, instead to write died, because died is more like, powerful or whatever, and died is stronger in headlines and gets more clicks and gets more views, and it's just like, God, it's just disgusting. But Chadwick Boseman passed away from colon cancer at 43 years old, and this came as a huge shock to everybody, and no one knew. No one knew he had colon cancer. No one knew his struggles with cancer. And the fact that it was bad enough to where, it took his life. And if you hear something, I'm moving the microphone there. But it's this. A lot of the times when stuff like this happens, and people die and celebrities pass and especially too early like this from a disease or an accident or whatever, I always reflect kind of on mortality and what we're doing here and what is life and stuff like that. And so we're going to wax poetic a bit on that. What I found really, really just unbelievable was all the work he did while he was suffering from cancer. We saw stories this weekend of him at Make-A-Wish hospitals and cancer hospitals and stuff like that. And to see him as Black Panther, as these kids in their eyes as a superhero, and for him to be there smiling and laughing and playing, and then deep down he was actually dying from the same disease, and for no one to know ever. For him to go through all these movies and people just have no clue this was happening, it just shows the resolve and the strength of him and who he was as a person. And obviously, I don't know Chadwick, or I didn't know Chadwick Boseman, and I'm not going to sit here and say that Black Panther is my favorite movie ever. I thought it was okay. I'm more talking about the person, and I think that's kind of what I don't want to say that's like the goal when people pass, is to be remembered for what you were, who you were, and not the fact that you were an actor, the fact that you made good movies, but the fact that you were a good person. And for Chadwick Boseman, I would think that is one of the greatest compliments possible. And the fact that he was that kind of a human being that didn't want people to know he was dying from cancer, didn't want that to be in the forefront. He just wanted to be an actor and do his thing, and whatever he could do, he did. And it's just so sad to see, and to see us lose someone like that is really tough. What it also made me think about was, you just never know. You really absolutely never know what people are going through. And I remember, there was a time after Black Panther when he was seen in pictures and videos, and he was just so skinny. He was, skin and bones, and some people thought, I thought he was just preparing for a role. It happens in Hollywood. People go through huge weight changes for roles, or they put on weight or whatever. But other people, they called him the Crack Panther, and other people were just making fun of him. And I'm not saying that was wrong. You can't put on a blinder and be like, oh, well, you should have made fun of him. Those people don't know. You can't blame them for that. But it just goes to show that you just never know what people are going through. You never know what anyone is going through. And people, life is, even with Chadwick Boseman, a superstar actor in the Avengers, in Black Panther, and even him, he's going through something as serious as stage 3 colon cancer, and what that must have done to him. And it's just a awful reminder of just to be kind, I guess, and I don't even know what the lesson's obvious. The lesson is, you don't know what people are going through. You don't know what's happening in people's lives. You don't know what they did before you saw them, or what their day to day is like. So treat everyone with kindness and everyone with respect. And in today's day and age, that's as lost as ever. In today's day and age, everyone is an enemy, or they're either with you 100% and believe everything you do, or they're an enemy. And everything's so polarized, and something like this just kind of makes you take a couple steps back. Something else that was tough was seeing all the pictures of kids with their Black Panther action figures, or their toys, or outfits, or whatever, and making the Wakanda Forever sign while kind of like crying, or with an RIP Black Panther sign or something like that. And that's something that it's weird to think about when you think about a character, or a hero, or something like that dying. It's not supposed to happen. It really is not supposed to happen when you think about Superman or Batman or whatever. They're immortalized in the pages of comic books, and they're immortalized in movies and TV shows. And you go from one Batman to the next Batman, to one Superman to the next Superman. The character doesn't die. But for these kids, Black Panther died. And that's something that I don't think I've gone through it as a wrestling fan. You go through it all the time because wrestlers and I've always said this, wrestlers are one of the few heroes who die. Hulk Hogan doesn't get played by a new Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan just dies. Or well, he, obviously he's alive now, but like the Hulk Hogan character is just one person. It's not multiple people. I've seen 10 Batmans in my lifetime. So I've always said, as a wrestling fan, we are one of the few fan bases that deal with that. And superheroes usually don't. But now for these kids, I feel like they will deal with that, where these kids know that Black Panther died. And what a crazy and surreal place that is to put yourself mentally, to have this hero, this Avenger, this otherworldly thing pass away from cancer. And God, what an awful... It's just made me do a lot of reflecting this weekend on mortality, on human nature, stuff like that. And it's just, life is short. I tell you that. Life is really short, ladies and gentlemen. So do what you can on this time while we have this time. Honestly, I mean, that's what we should take from this. So rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. Very sad to see. Absolutely shocking news. Let us switch over now to the CDC. This was pretty shocking. So I think I just started off both stories with this was pretty shocking. But 11 hours ago-ish, 12 hours ago, somewhere in there, we got an update from the CDC regarding COVID and regarding the COVID deaths and stuff like that. This was one of those things. Now look, COVID has really evolved since we started talking about it. I mean, our first show back in like February or maybe even January, we talked about COVID. I remember doing a show in a hotel room, traveling for work, and we were talking about COVID and kind of what it was and if it's real and bat soup and all that stuff. I mean, it seems like years ago, but that was the first thing. Then it turns into, just like if you think about the evolution of COVID, you think about, it's a disease in Wuhan that comes from bat soup. Okay, well, I guess I need to stay away from Wuhan. Oh, wow, now it's in Italy. Now it's in Spain. Okay, now we have 5 cases in America, 10 cases in America. Oh, we have a case in each state. Oh, the whole damn world is shut down. Oh, well, we'll just go on quarantine for 2 weeks. Nope, 6 months later, we're in the same situation. And people have had their beliefs on COVID, between COVID and the mask and the response and the flu and whatever else. COVID has gone through more conspiracy theories, explanations, what have you, than maybe any other disease in human history. And we've pretty much stayed strong on the stance of, look, we don't know. We don't know. We're not doctors. So let's just take the necessary precautions that we have to take, and hopefully this thing goes away. But there's no point in believing it's not real. There's no point in believing it's a boogeyman, it's made up, it's a conspiracy theory, because that's not going to get us any closer to normalcy. That's not going to get us any closer to what we have to do to get back to normal life. And now we have this, and this is a huge story and a huge wrinkle. And again, asterisk, but I'm just reading you what it says. This is from the CDC. I'm not a doctor. So I'm reading you what they're telling me. So here we go. So they said that 6% of COVID deaths occurred without comorbidities, which means, for laymen, for the people in the back, 94% of COVID deaths occurred with another contributing factor, whether it's another disease or whether it's being old or whether it's something else, whatever else. I think the average was like 2.6 factors or something like that of death. So 6% of COVID deaths have occurred because of COVID. Now, obviously, you can take that number and, throw some quotation marks around that number. We don't know false positives. We don't know. So, but that's just what they're telling us. 6%. Okay? There were 2.6 additional, on average, there were 2.6 additional conditions of causes per death for deaths with conditions or causes in addition to COVID-19. Okay? This would mean that roughly 10,000 deaths are directly attributable to COVID alone. Because right now, if you have, a heart attack, but you also have COVID, then, you're a COVID death, okay? This is a huge bombshell. And I'm going to read some more from this report before I get into my thoughts on it. Here's another from the CDC. If you have symptoms of COVID-19 and want to get tested, call your healthcare provider first. Most people will have mild illness and can recover at home without medical care and may not need to be tested. Okay, that's interesting. I'll read it again. If you have symptoms of COVID-19, so if you think you have COVID and want to get tested, call first, because you may just have a mild illness and can probably just chill at home without any medical care and may not even need to be tested. And again, this is from the CDC. So now we have to look at this and we have to say, what the hell is this? What's going on? What actually is going on? Let's just take it for what it is, and let's try and play a little devil's advocate. Let's just have some hypotheticals. Let's say we just take COVID for what it is, okay? Exactly what the CDC just told us. 6% of COVID deaths occurred without comorbidities. 94% have not. And you don't need you more than likely don't need medical care. You more than likely don't need to get tested. You more than likely can just rest at home. 6 months down the road. If that's the case, what are we doing? If that's the case, why are we shut down? Why have however many people been laid off? Why are professional sporting leagues canceled? Why is the restaurant industry over? What's happening? What's going on around us? Are we being lied to? Who's lying to us? And if they're lying to us about this, what else have they lied to us about? Who's right? Who's wrong? Is anyone right? I mean, this is one of those things you read, and it's like, well, wait a minute, what the hell is this? I mean, when I first saw this come through, I was like, oh, man, this is going to be from, like, InfoWars, or this might just be Alex Jones holding up a light bright, doing his own test or something. But no, this is from the CDC. And this is one of, the more that you see it, the more, for me, it feels like, okay, well, was I just being tricked the whole time? Were we just being tricked? Were we being played? Because that's what it feels like. When you see numbers like this, 6 months later, this isn't like it's now. This isn't like it's, we're the coronavirus hit last week and we're here now, and this is what it's telling us. It's like, okay, well, let's still see. Let's still let it play out. We have been basically shut down for 6 months. I've yet to eat in a restaurant. Most restaurants are just closed. Most industries are shut down. People, I can't even tell you how many people, think about the impact of COVID. Schools closed, opened, and then closed. Sporting leagues canceled or bubbled or just boycotted or what have you. Nothing is the same. Economically, how many people have lost their jobs? How many businesses have closed down? How many for sale signs have gone up? Mentally, depression, suicide, domestic abuse. Kids are not in school, the education, a year behind, who knows? Think of all the ramifications. And if that's all because we were tricked or lied to, and this is just a, hey, don't even go get medicine, there's no medical care needed, just kind of chill. And obviously, the deaths that have still happened are awful. Obviously you don't want people to die. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But if we're in this situation where it's, hey, I mean, if you get it, kind of chill at home, I guess, and that's about it. I don't know. I mean, I almost didn't do the show tonight. Because I almost needed like a day to research this. I almost needed a day to research this and to figure out what the hell the deal is. Because we're talking about coronavirus was and is the topic across the world and has been for a really long time. And I'm not sure what to do anymore or what the answer is anymore for this thing. And that it sounds dramatic, I guess, but a really good friend of mine put it kind of in a good way. It was almost like he was saying that the world is kind of like a magic show right now, but we all know the trick. So it's just like, why am I at the show? What am I watching? What is this? And that's how I feel right now. Let's pretend that you are a worker who's worked at a place for 8 years and you got laid off because of COVID. Let's say not that you had it, but let's say that like your industry just got shut down or even you own a restaurant, whatever. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, but you picked the metaphor and you had to close because of COVID or you got fired because of COVID. And you read this and it's like, you did your best. You tried real hard. And for what? For the whole system to be shut down around you for this virus that 6 months later, the CDC is putting out a press release on a Sunday night and saying, hey, 94% of people died because of something else probably. And if you have COVID, just kind of stay at home, chill. And you're looking around, filing for unemployment, stuck at home, your entire life was flipped upside down. And for what? People are disillusioned right now. People are disenchanted with the entire process. And I certainly cannot blame them. People have lived a good life. People have tried as hard as they could. People have done what they were supposed to do, played by the rules, did what the book told them to do. And some people are getting their ass kicked by life, and now they feel like they were tricked. And that who the hell knows? Again, if people were tricked with this, what else were they tricked by? What else did they believe in that wasn't the case? Is anything real? Is anything worth it? It's kind of a scary thing. And I don't want to get too overdramatic or too Truman Show about this whole thing, but it is worth looking at, like, how real is everything around me? How real are these social constructs? If these constructs, and I mean literally every construct, school, work, everything, restaurants, movie theaters, everything, events, if every one of these social constructs can be ripped down because of this, then do they exist at all? I'll give you another example. Or I guess the same example, we're going to extrapolate on it. Pretend like you're the guy who's worked at a company for 8 years. You get fired because of COVID. And let's say you get hired a month later for another company, same industry. And you're going through orientation and you're going through your training. Ooh, your new cubicle. Cool, you have a window. You go to lunch with your coworkers. You start to learn their names. You start to learn the dress code. You start to learn the schedule. Hey, on Fridays we get out at 4:15. Cool. Hey, on the first Thursday of the month, Jan brings bagels. Cool. Did you get a Christmas bonus this year? The days go by. People ask you, how's your new job? People ask you, how's everything going? Is your boss nice? What are your coworkers like? What's your desk like? Do you have a window? Don't you think that person is going to be looking around like, this is just the same shit, but a different building, a different desk, a different cubicle, different faceless, nameless coworkers, and all of this could be taken away at any moment. What am I buying into? What am I trying to do? That's what a lot of these people are going to look at. School. I'm working my ass off to get into a good college, to be an athlete in the Big Ten, play for the Ohio State University. I'm going to college at Ohio State. At any moment, Ohio State can just pull it all away. Now, what can you do? Absolutely nothing. Is that the mirage? Is that the facade? Is that kind of what we all have to realize, is that we've all just been kind of powerless this whole time? And we're all just kind of pawns in this game? And who the hell is playing the game? Who's playing the game? This stuff is happening everywhere, on every level. If you look at the world, right, or let's just say the United States, you have coronavirus. In the background of coronavirus, you have civil unrest, and we will get to the civil unrest later in this show. You have riots in the streets of Wisconsin right now. Buildings are on fire. Right now, armed militias are marching in the street. Right now, as we speak, that's what's going on. You have that. You have coronavirus. You have people losing their jobs. You have people shutting down. Schools aren't open. Simultaneously, you've got a presidential election. It's craziness right now. And so I don't blame anybody for sitting back, stepping back, looking at the whole picture and going, where the hell do I fit in this? Where the hell do I sit? I'm just supposed to come in somewhere and punch a time clock, get a pat on my head like a good boy, collect a paycheck, send however much money to some banks that I don't know what the hell they're doing with it, send some more money to some electrical company or something that I don't know what they're doing with it, pay taxes for who knows what, get a new update on my license tag on my car because the state says I need one, even though I have no clue why it's on there. Get a driver's license for who the hell knows why. You just kind of get on this conveyor belt and you do all this stuff. Hey, you're 12 years old. You have to go to 7th grade now. 7th grade always starts in August. School year ends in June. Okay. Oops, unless it just doesn't. Even when you're trying to play the game of life. How much fun would the game of life be if one of the people playing could just change the rules at any given time? It would suck for everyone else playing. It's really tough right now. And right now, reading the CDC thing, the numbers are one thing. We can talk about the numbers all we want. We can talk about the 6%, the 94%. We can talk about the symptoms of COVID, whatever. That's one thing. But what this really made me think about was the mental health impact, the economic impact, the life impact on the citizens of the United States. And that's not to say anything about the people across the world. I just don't have any experience in that. It would be irresponsible for me to talk about it, to be honest. So I'm focusing on the United States. But will we ever get back to normal? What is normal? I don't think we will. I honestly don't. I honestly don't think we will. I don't see how people will just go back to, an office or a conference call or a Christmas meeting and just feel like, oh, yep, okay, we're back to normal. It's all cool. It's all cool. It feels like, and we've kind of hinted at this previously on the show, but it feels like the curtains have been pulled back. We've seen The Wizard of Oz. We've seen who's pulling the strings. We've seen that it's all just a big game. It's all just a big motion ride. It's all just animatronics and smoke and mirrors or whatever. And so who's going to go back to just blindly doing what you're told to do? Again, I don't want to get too Orwellian or too 1984 on everybody. I don't want to do that. I don't want this to sound, as bad as I guess it probably does sound. I know this probably does sound rough and depressing, especially on a Monday. But that is what this does. That is what these reports do. And if you're in the camp who's like, LOL, LMAO, Omega lol, I told you the whole time, then you're missing the picture too. If you're one of the people saying, haha, I told you it was just the flu, you're in the same damn game. You may even be worse because you believed that it was all a ruse. But you were going along with it anyways. that might even be worse. To understand, to see, or to believe that everything around you is false, everything around you is fake, everything around you is just laws and rules and regulations put in for no reason. And you're just playing along, punching the time clock, hoping to get called a good little boy. I don't know. I personally feel disillusioned. I personally feel disenchanted. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. I'm sure some of you feel disenchanted. Some of you feel disillusioned. And let me tell you what I think the remedy for that is. And I'm going to say this without doing it myself. And I'm going to say this without having any evidence for it being true. But I think the only way that you can remedy this, the only way that we can remedy this, is by getting back to what is really important in life. What isn't important is your beliefs on a Chinese flu. What isn't important is your beliefs on the latest social injustice craze. What's important is your friends. What's important is your family. What is important is what is important to you, what you want to do. Put time into your passion. Put time into what you like to do in life. Quit doing shit in life that you don't want to do. Work kicking your ass, Is work ruining your life? Well, excuse my French, but work. Is work ruining your family, your friends, your time with your children or your wife? Work. Whatever is ruining your time, it. Get rid of it. It's not important. What should be important to you and to us for the rest of our time on this planet is to make the most of our time on this planet. All the silly little games. Oh, work real hard, get a promotion. Do real good in school, get all A's. Ooh, maybe I'll get accepted to that big college. That big college. Everyone wants to go there. If you go to that college, you're really smart. It means a whole lot if you get a degree from there. Maybe all of that's over. I think people are seeing that. You're seeing that right now. Getting an online degree from that big, cool college isn't as cool, is it? It's not. If that's the case, then maybe that college isn't very cool, is it? Spoiler alert, it's not. That promotion probably felt pretty good, huh? What about the fact that you put on all those hours, all those late nights, lost sleep, stressed, lost or gained weight, ruined your relationship with your family? But hey, you burned the midnight oil. You got that promotion. That boss is really, really going to look after you until the next pandemic or until they need to trim some costs. Will you get trimmed? And if you do, who will be looking after you? You'll probably have to rely on those friends and family that you cut off to get that promotion from that boss who doesn't know you exist. Ladies and gentlemen, you owe it to yourself to live for you. I don't want to be a motivational speaker. Trust me, the last person in the world that you should look at as a role model or whatever is me. But just know this. You truly are the center of your own story. You are the star in your own movie. Your book is being written about you. What do you want the pages to be filled with? What do you want the movie to be about? What is your story? Is your story sitting at a cubicle for a third of your life, sleeping for another third of it? What do you want to do? Who are you? What do you want to be remembered for? Whatever your answer is, and I don't care what your answer is. It can be as silly as I want to be known as the greatest ultimate frisbee player in the world. Another might be, hey man, I just want to go sit on a beach. Whatever the hell your story is, from right now, 37 minutes into this podcast, from right now to whenever you quit listening, because do not dare turn off this podcast, live your story. Be the star of your own movie. If on the way to your own movie or your own story, if on the way you get T-boned by an 18-wheeler, ladies and gentlemen, I know who to call. Who to call is Mackhard, Anderson & Associates, PLLC, my good friends. My God. The only people you can believe in this time. The only people you can believe in this time of sadness. In this dark, dark time. This time where the CDC is telling you, hey, man, LMAO, 94% of people are dying with other stuff. It's like, man, is the CDC lying to me? I don't know. But I know who won't lie to you. Who won't lie to me, James? Well, I won't lie to you. Who else? The good folk at Mackhard, Anderson & Associates, PLLC. My God. How does this sound? Car wrecks, 18-wheeler collisions, wrongful death, bad faith insurance claims, fire loss, termite damage, offshore injuries. Man, that's all they do? Nope. Employment discriminations and contract business disputes. Whatever your situation is, your case is important to them. I swear to you, these are the best in the business. Have you ever seen My Cousin Vinny? If you haven't, it's a very, very funny movie. He was not a great lawyer. That has nothing to do with them, just a great movie. Mackhard, Anderson & Associates, PLLC, 601-450-1715, mackhardlaw.com, MCHARDLAW.com. By the way, I saw a recent commercial for one of those billboard schmuck scuzzo lawyers. I couldn't get over it. This girl or this lady got into a car accident, and they were like, this person got me $400,000. And the person was like, all it took was one phone call to get, I forgot what her name was, to get her settlement. Do they think you are that stupid? That you think that this person was lying there in the wreckage of their car accident, crawled out of their vehicle, picked up the remnants of their Motorola Razr, called this scuzzo billboard lawyer, and in 15 minutes, he wrote her a check for $400,000? No! That's what we call in the business a little white lie, a fib. Do not be had. Do not be tricked by the billboard lawyers. One click, that's it. One call, that's all. Oh, hell no! Mackhard, Anderson & Associates, PLLC. How are we doing, ladies and gentlemen? The next story. Let's go past the... Man, that CDC story got a little heavy, huh? It got a little dark. I blacked out in the middle of it. I hope it went good. I hope I didn't get too... We went down some wild rabbit holes right there, man. We took a left turn at pure depression and sadness, and we were kind of chilling there for a little bit in the world of gloom and doom. Then we kind of took a right turn on, hey, man, screw it, live your life. And then we took a really other good turn into just a motivational, hey, you're the captain of your boat, baby. You are, pushing this sailboat. If you don't like the way it's moving, just turn the sails. Next story. Do y'all know who Bella Thorne is? So Bella Thorne, I think she was on the Disney Channel. Bella Thorne's an influencer, whatever you want to call them nowadays. Bella Thorne joined OnlyFans. Now, somehow we've talked about OnlyFans like 4 or 5 times on this show. So y'all should know what OnlyFans is by now, so I won't get into it. Bella Thorne said that she would join OnlyFans. Within the first 24 hours, Bella Thorne made over $1 million. Think about it. Pandemic, unemployment, depression, suicide rates, domestic violence, riots in the streets, cities burning down. The world has stopped. And Bella Thorne can make $1 million in 24 hours for joining a site where she can post pictures. Unbelievable. This is something that blows... By the way, she made over $2 million in about a week. The story is, the reason that we're even talking about this, is that turns out she wasn't really doing anything. So she charged like $200 for like a private nude photo shoot. Well, turns out there was nothing nude about the photo shoot. So all of her simps were pretty pissed off and demanded refunds, and OnlyFans ended up changing their whole system. Well, this pissed off all of the actual people on OnlyFans who are putting out content to make money. Bella Thorne obviously does not need OnlyFans to make money. Granted, $2 million is $2 million. But for the people whose livelihood relies on the way that she got paid and the way that that is now being revisited because of how bad she seemingly scammed the system, those people are pissed. It made a huge story, obviously. We aren't going to talk about the Bella Thorne aspect of it as far as like what she did on OnlyFans or her pictures or whatever. I think Bella Thorne is kind of overrated. She looks like she's always just crawled out of the ocean or something. But what's really crazy to me, and this is something I think about all the time, is that just to show how crazy this time that we're living in right now is, think about the fact that right now we live where these two stories are completely parallel to each other. They're happening at the exact same time. Bella Thorne makes $2 million for nude photos, alleged nude photos. Simultaneously, Wisconsin is being burned to the ground. Like, those are in the same timeline. And then in the middle of that, people are in an economic free fall because of coronavirus. It's just crazy that all of those are in the same news cycle. They're all existing at the exact same time. How is that possible? I honestly don't know. I really can't even tell you. I don't know how it's possible. Another thing it does is it goes to show the power of these influencers. This is something else that we have really been harping on, is that these are the most powerful people on the planet. And you may say, James, these aren't the most powerful people on the planet. They are. If you want them, if you're an ad agency or if you're a company, Coca-Cola, Apple, whatever, and you want the most people to see your product, who are you calling? The Super Bowl for a commercial? Nah, just call Kylie Jenner. Just call Charlie D'Amelio. Just call Addison Rae. Call these TikTokers. Call these people on Instagram. These people legitimately have armies behind them who are propping them up financially, however else you want to say it. The power of these people right now in the scope of our humanity is insane. If you think for 1 second that The Rock or another huge personality or actor or whatever, that is who will be your presidents for the next however many years. I'll go out on a limb here and I'll say we will not see a tried and true politician, like a lifelong politician as president, maybe ever again. I think from now on, you're going to see like The Rock, Michelle Obama, Trump's kids. You're going to see stuff like that. You are not going to see the George Bushes. You are not going to see the Richard Nixons. You're not going to see that. If you don't have a following, I mean, Michelle Obama has a podcast, for God's sakes. Michelle Obama is doing a podcast. Former Vice President of the United States has a podcast on Spotify, where you can find my show, obviously. Spotify, iTunes. It is what it is. It's just like we are living in a Black Mirror episode right now. Bottom line. Bella Thorne, we already have Instagram. We already have Google. And somehow Bella Thorne in 24 hours can make $1 million. $1 million. $2 million in like a week. 99% of humans on the planet will not make $1 million in their lifetime. Think about the world's best pediatric brain surgeon. I don't know what their salary is. Let's just say $300,000. I don't know. $300,000 pediatric surgeon. Bella Thorne is laughing him all the way to the bank. He or she doing brain surgery, making a couple $100,000 in a year. Bella Thorne signs up for OnlyFans, registers her an account. 24 hours later, boom, $1 million in her bank. It is crazy to see those things propped up at the same time. The VMAs were tonight. I didn't watch the VMAs. But the VMAs are tonight. The backdrop of the VMAs is social injustice and riots in the streets. And then we're simultaneously giving awards to Doja Cat. How is all of this existing at the same time? How can we just have this conversation about what are we doing? What's your role in society? Your life is more than a cube. Don't sweat the promotion. Just, hey, don't worry about playing the rules of life. Just live your life. We're having that conversation. People are filing for unemployment at a record rate. People are unemployed at a record rate. All of this shit's happening. Riots in the street. Our podcast is a disaster. The stories that we're talking about are apocalyptic. George Orwell might as well be writing fan fiction for 2020. We're doing that. And people are walking through the wreckage of blood and bones and fiery buildings and ashes that used to be major cities. People are walking through those to hand a silver moon man to Doja Cat. That's where we are right now. And that is a crazy time to live in. I personally believe we are living in the most confusing time in human history. Maybe not the most difficult. Maybe not the most depressing, maybe not the most sad, maybe not the most violent, but this has to be the most confusing time in human history. We've got, if you're a kid, good luck. I don't know what kids are going to look like in 10 years, 20 years. I don't know what they're going to develop into. How can you develop responsibly? You have an iPhone at birth. When you're born, you're given an iPhone, a Facebook account, and an Instagram. Figure out the rest of life. You're trying to navigate life. You're trying to navigate all this stuff. You go on TikTok, and you've got people dancing, 13, 14-year-olds wearing crop tops. Then you turn on the TV, Donald Trump is president. Michelle Obama has a podcast. Doja Cat's winning VMAs. You switch over here. The WNBA isn't playing. Why? Because they're boycotting someone who got shot in the back. Who was he? Doesn't matter. I guess it's social injustice. There's a pandemic. Well, at least I get to go to school. Nope. Psych. You can't go to school. You got to learn on the computer. What? My attention span is about 4 seconds. Okay, well, now you got to learn an entire semester of school on the same thing that you play Fortnite on. It's a total mess. Total mess. And this Bella Thorne OnlyFans stuff just illuminates that even more. I actually saw this story. This kind of bleeds into the next story. It's involved social media and all that stuff. But I saw a proposed story or a proposed law in the UK would force posts across Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or whatever from celebrities. If they are photoshopped or edited, they would have to put a tag like this was edited, because they believe that social media and stuff like that is creating a mental health crisis because it is establishing a false sense of beauty or a false sense of reality, and it's too hard to with power or with the editing power of today. It's too hard to tell reality and what's not. I think this is a really good change. I thought this was kind of surprising that this just got thrown out there, but I'll tell you when this should have happened is the second people started doing deep fakes. Deep fakes is something that scared me a lot because deep fakes are kind of funny. People use them as kind of a gag. But deep fakes aren't funny if you're living in a place like North Korea, where your entire media and entire information pipeline is controlled. So if you're in North Korea and you see a deep fake of Donald Trump saying that North Korea sucks and North Korea is the worst and we're going to bomb them, and you're in North Korea and you're told to believe everything your government tells you, you're going to believe that, right? Now, that's not exactly the best example because North Korea wouldn't have to put edited or something, but you get my point. If someone who's not technologically savvy sees a photo of, obviously a Photoshop photo, they don't know what Photoshop is. They don't know what that process is. They don't know what a deep fake is. And we live in a weird place where you have multiple generations now. You have generations, you have my generation who half of my life was with media, social media, internet, stuff like that. But I lived a long time. I developed a long time without internet or a phone or anything like that. I think I was 17, maybe probably pretty close probably 17 before I had like my phone. Like I used to use, when I talk to my friends about this all the time, I used to have to use my parents' cell phone to like text my friends. And back then you didn't even text, But to call my friends or to text my friends or whatever, I would have to use my parents' phone. And my parents that was it. Like we had house phones where, hey, if someone else was on the phone, you couldn't use the phone. Then the internet came through, and a lot of people had the same AIM account as their brothers or their same AIM account as their parents. And if they were on the internet, they couldn't use the phone. I mean, it's a very different place than the generations under us. The Zoomers or whatever, Gen Z, and I don't even know the names now, but they're born, like we said earlier in the podcast, they're born literally with an iPhone. They're given an iPhone going to kindergarten. They have their own phones. And so and then you go above me to the boomer generation who they grew up, they developed and grew up without the internet, without phones, without whatever. I know people who cannot turn on a computer. They don't have an email address. And if you think about that, it's like, how can you even exist without an email address? And some of these boomers don't. But they still live in the world where they could probably consume in some way or another digital media. So if they see a deep fake or they see a Photoshop, they don't know what the hell to look at. Not to mention catfishing is a real thing. I mean, stuff like I got when I was growing up on the early days of the internet, catfishing was just some weird AIM chat room where you were in a chat room talking to cheerleader chicks, 63, and she might be a 46-year-old dude. Hey, look, that's just the risk you run. You know what I'm saying? That's just the risk you run. It is Ashley who's sending you, some sweet chats at 2 a.m. Could Ashley be some 46-year-old dude named Michael? Hey, maybe. You know what I mean? Does that mean that what y'all talked about what still isn't the same? Does that mean you and Michael aren't sharing a fantastic conversation? I don't know. But that's the risk you run, you know what I'm saying? That was the only problem back then. Now, you can get catfished for a few years easily. They could throw a damn deep fake out there, and you can have a FaceTime conversation, and Michael could look like Khloe Kardashian. I mean, like Kylie Jenner. Kylie Jenner's probably catfishing people all over the place. Some people probably think she's Jamaican. Some people think she's Indonesian. Some people think she's from Texas. Some people think she's from California. No one thinks she's white. I mean, who the hell knows with Kylie Jenner? And then you have the James Charleses and the people like that who, I mean, if they threw James Charles on the front of the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition, you'd have a bunch of 55-year-old men who were taking some deep, deep, long looks in the mirror. You throw a magazine down with some of these Instagram, I don't know what you call them. I guess makeup people who just do the makeup and then kind of like swap genders just for makeup. You throw a couple of them on the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition, and you bring it into your local your car auto body shop with a bunch of 60-year-old dudes who don't have computers, and you throw that down there, and you let it stay there for a week, and you go back and sit them all down and tell them that all those people in the front of that magazine are actually 19-year-old TikTok stars who live in California, and all of those guys they're gone home. They're not saying anything to their wives or anything to their children. They're taking probably 8 to 12 beers outside, and they're going to go sit in a lawn chair and do some real soul searching. So I hope social media does put something like this to where edited or Photoshop photos do indeed come with a tag, because I think it really does alter what people believe is real or not. I mean, look, some people, you go to Instagram, it ain't possible. I mean, we've seen the Kardashians have been caught so many damn times editing or photoshopping or removing stuff from their photos. I think, I mean, I'm not affected by it, but I would certainly see where, kids or teenagers or especially girls, who are held to such a ridiculously high standard anyways, how they could feel inadequate or they could feel bad about themselves or whatever. And, so I hope we see that moving forward, because I really do. I don't want to okay boomer myself out of this planet, because y'all know I'm super hip. Y'all know I am very hip with the trends. I'm litty. Everyone knows I'm lit AF. So, I don't want to okay boomer myself, but I do worry about social media and how it is affecting our youth's minds. or as my cousin Vinny would say, our Utes' minds. And 2 My Cousin Vinny references in the same podcast, and I haven't seen that movie in 10, 15 years. God, I'm on a whole nother level. All right, we're almost done here. We're at like the hour mark. I'm not going to get into this today, I don't think. I was going to talk about the nun that spoke at the RNC. Yeah, I won't get into that. Man. This is a good story. It's a good talking point. So I'll leave you with homework. Instead of me talking about this, I want you to think about it. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, YouTube it. It's Sister Dee Dee Byrne. She gave a speech at the RNC, and she is a nun, and she gave her speech in her full nun regalia, and she was talking about Trump and how he is anti-abortion. Okay, cool, whatever. So she is of the Little Workers of the Sacred Hearts of Jesus. That's her organization. And I was having a conversation about this, and I thought it was a bit cringy. I thought it was a bit like, we get it. Like I don't need a nun at the microphone in her nun regalia. Like a doctor would have been fine. You know what I mean? Like kind of keep the religion away from being a political weapon. If someone says, hey man, this place has really good egg drop soup, I don't need someone like full on, Asian regalia, like wearing a kimono or whatever. Like I don't need all that. I don't need a person doing that to pander to how good the egg drop soup is. You know what I mean? Like a food critic's fine. So go watch her speech, and you tell me. You can find me on Twitter or Instagram at James_Skrmetta, Skrmetta. You tell me what you thought about this. Okay, engage me. And I'll probably put the video up on my Twitter to start the whole conversation. So you tell me what you thought about it. And the question is, what I want to know is, do you think that this is okay? Are you okay? And I'm really interested to hear from Catholics. Obviously, I'll hear from whoever. It doesn't matter to me. But I really want to hear from Catholics. How does it make you feel to see a nun in her regalia speaking at a political convention, whether it would have been for the Republicans or the Democrats, whatever? I don't want to hear about Trump. I don't want to hear about anti-abortion. I don't want to hear about abortion. I want to hear about what you think about the presentation of a person of religion speaking at a political convention. That's your homework. Tell me what you think. If you've been listening to this podcast for long enough, you are a critical thinking mastermind, and I cannot wait to hear what you think. We will end the show with an update on Jacob Blake. So we went into heavy in-depth about the Jacob Blake situation. My stance was, look, guys, let's just pump the brakes on what we are saying here. Saying justice for Jacob Blake, we support Jacob Blake, Jacob Blake's a hero, whatever. That kind of stuff is dangerous when you don't know the full story. So here is the reason of why the police were there, which is we did not know at the time. We did not know. Okay? Blake is accused in the criminal complaint, which was obtained by the this is from the New York Post, of breaking into the home of a woman he knew and sexually assaulting her. The victim, who is only identified by her initials in the paperwork, told police she was asleep in bed with one of her children when Blake came into the room around 6 a.m. and allegedly said, "I want my shit," the record states. She told cops Blake then used his finger to sexually assault her, sniffed it, and said, "Smells like you've been with other men," the criminal complaint alleges. The officer who took her statement said she had a very difficult time telling him this and cried as she told how the defendant assaulted her. The victim said Blake penetrated her digitally, caused her pain and humiliation, and was done without her consent, and she was very humiliated and upset by the sexual assault. She told police she was upset but collected herself and then allegedly ran out of the front door after Blake, the complaint says. She then realized her car was missing, checked her purse, and saw the keys were missing, and then immediately called 911, the complaint alleges. The victim told cops she has known him for 8 years and claims that he physically assaults her around twice a year when he drinks heavily. Police filed charges against him for felony sexual assault, trespassing, and domestic abuse in July, when a warrant was issued for his arrest. On Sunday, within 3 minutes of responding to the 911 call, Blake was shot 7 times in the back as he attempted to get into his car. Okay. Do you see the danger? And no, I'm not saying, hey, man, yeah, that totally justifies him getting shot 7 times in the back. I'm not saying that. We're not even talking about that. That's a terrible, terrible counter-argument. The point is, we cannot take every single one of these situations at the moment they happen and claim they are racial injustice, racially fueled, and the person who is shot, again, Jacob Blake is not dead, and the person who is shot is a martyr or a hero or should be held up in the community. We don't know. Just like in this situation, I just read you that. Those are all allegations. We don't know. But imagine if you're in the WNBA and you're wearing a t-shirt that says Jacob Blake and you have 7 bullet wounds in the back of your shirt that you spent time doing, and you're boycotting your games, and then you read that he sexually assaulted a woman while her child was in the bed, digitally raped her, told her that she smells like she's been with other men. How do you feel about that? That's got to be tough. That has to be tough. And now we're in the situation where is the support for the victim? And that's where you get into a really weird situation where if you're in the WNBA, are you going to boycott for the victim? Are you going to wear shirts with the victim's name on it? And if not, why? If not, why? Ask yourself that question. Now, again, I'm not saying that the police were in the right. I'm not saying that Jacob Blake's a monster. I'm not saying any of those things. I'm strictly speaking to the people who, within the first 24 hours of this happening, decided to boycott or put Jacob Blake up as this martyr hero. If you are one of those people, if you're in that position, what do you do now? What is your next move? Answer to yourself. I really don't know, because I wouldn't. As we said last week on the show, I would not have done that. I would have advised very heavily not to do that. I would have advised, hey, we might need to look into this one a little more. So if you're the WNBA, what do you do? Do you continue it? Do you continue the boycott? Do you just headstrong move forward? Or do you revert course and say we're now supporting the victim? We're now going to try and raise money or raise funds or whatever for the victim, put her name on our shirts. Do you do that? It's a sticky sitch. It's a real sticky sitch. I don't know what the answer is. And I'm a PR professional. And I am a PR professional of more than half a decade. Knee-jerk reaction, gun to my head. I'd probably pivot the marketing or the PR or whatever and say, we're going to take this time to address victims of sexual allegations. But then if you do that, or sexual assault, but then if you do that, then you have to paint Jacob Blake you have to paint this woman as the victim. Thus, if there's a victim, then there's someone who is in the wrong. So now, that's just so tough. If you do that, you're probably doing the right thing. You probably win in the long run. But in the short run, you look awful. Because now you have, what the hell do you do with your shirts? You just throw them away? I guess you're going to throw them away anyways. You can't use a shirt that has 7 holes in it. But what do you do? You just boycott. You just stood up for this. And now you know, as a woman, now you know that this guy broke into her house while her children were in the bed and entered her with his finger without her consent. Their children there, it's a tough spot, man. But that's why it's so important in these situations to not let your emotions get the best of you. Do not let the media get the best of you. Do not let the media tell you, yep, it's a hate crime. Obviously social injustice, obvious racial hate crime. Get the boycott going. This is it's kind of funny how fast it's happened. We did our podcast on Thursday. It's Sunday, and now it's pretty obvious that the whole boycott thing was a problem. It's very apparent that the NBA, the WNBA, all the sporting leagues. Like, I don't want to say they look bad, but man, it's hard. It's hard right now to not think they have a ton of egg on their face. I keep going back to The Rock's Instagram or tweet or whatever it was, like, in respect to Jacob Blake. And then you read what Jacob Blake did, and it's like, The Rock delayed his clothing line launch in respect to a guy who did that? I don't know. It seems weird. It seems really weird. I mean, I was going to give you an example, and I was going to say, imagine if somebody broke into someone's house, beat up a woman, stole some stuff, ran out, the cops arrested the person and shot them, and then the people were like, this guy's a victim, but that's literally what happened. Like, I went to make a metaphor to outline how ridiculous it would be, and it was just the exact thing that actually happened here on Earth. That he broke into her house, assaulted her sexually, stole her car, her keys or whatever. Cops went to arrest him, and he was shot. I didn't add that he was resisting and reaching for a knife. I didn't add all that stuff. But when you put it all together, it's like, and then you hear people were holding sport leagues at ransom and wearing his name on shirts. It's like, I'm not saying he should have been shot, but I'm not saying that we should have been holding, should have been doing this. I don't know, guys. I honestly think that these situations will end up destroying true activism, because true activism is there for change. True activism is there to make the world a better place. And in my opinion, stuff like this is just not. In my opinion, stuff like this is there for the clicks, there for the retweets, there for the spotlight, that's the whole point. The whole point of these people doing it so quick was that they were front and center, that they were the front of the line, that they were the first ones to get the story, the first one to get the news breaking, I don't know. It's icky. I think it's kind of icky. I think it's gross. I think it's the typical, like, I don't know. I talked about before, the whole Starbucks thing. I've done this a lot this episode. The whole, like, I've said it before thing. This is a bad one for me. This is me. I was clean. I don't think I did it last week. I was clean for a week, and I just Amy Winehoused out of control. I just Whitney Houston all over this table, all over my microphone. But it's like, you wonder, the people who are paying ahead of you in the Starbucks line, you wonder if they're doing it for you or if they're doing it for them. I don't know. It's gross. But thank you for listening, guys. We're well over an hour. Good show. Start the week. Show was kind of crazy. I was telling someone last week, after, like, we don't have a script or anything, and so I just kind of talk. I just kind of go. I don't take breaks, So I know we talked for an hour and 10 minutes. I know that. I know what we talked about. I know the topics. I don't remember the whole, like, sentence by sentence. And, like, I know it's weird because we have a very interesting podcast, I think, because we don't go into it trying to be funny. We don't go into it trying to be political. We don't go into it trying to be a news podcast. But we kind of are all those things at the same time. Like, there are some funny moments, I guess. There are some really serious moments, and there are some, like, political moments. There are some newsy moments. There are some sports moments and some pop culture moments. And it's all this weird hodgepodge of stuff. And a lot of the times right now, I'm about to end the podcast. And right now, I'm honestly thinking, should I put this out? I did it last week. Last week, I almost didn't put out a podcast. I think it was the one on Thursday. And I had multiple people on Friday text me and be like, this was one of the best podcasts you've done. And I told them, I was like, it's so funny because I debated not even putting it out. I just don't know. Because I know what we talk about can be super serious. And to just riff on these super serious things. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, well, I know I said apocalyptic hellscape. I know I talked about cubes and work and this. And we talked about, like, just, it's like, yep, I said apocalyptic hellscape. Yep, I said digitally penetrated. Yep, I referenced My Cousin Vinny twice. Yeah, it's like, what the hell? What just happened in an hour and 15 minutes? I sure hope this is good, but I'm just trusting the process, and we're just putting this stuff out. But yeah, that is a little look into the mind behind the scenes there, where I can go ahead and promise you, like, I'm about to click stop on the record, and I will be sitting here deliberating, like, oh man, what the hell did I say? What happened? But I just got to, full YOLO, as the cool kids would say. But thank you for listening, guys. I appreciate that. Enjoy your week. I will talk to you on Thursday. Hopefully the news is a little happier. Hopefully this crazy thing that we call life slows down, man. Damn. Hopefully it slows down and we can relax. We can have some fun. If it does slow down, I mean, the 2 podcasts today or this week were crazy, but if it slows down, I really do want to do that Q&A podcast. So be on the lookout for that. On my Twitter or Instagram, I'll be posting tweets or Instagram posts asking for questions. So if you thought up any good questions, I'm all ears. Thank you guys for listening again. I appreciate you are listening to the greatest podcast on earth. Imagine listening to a different podcast in 2020. This is the James Skrmetta Show.